our city is in the midst of a renaissance. We're not war-ravaged.
Now at noon, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson responds to President Trump's claims about the city. Local pushback against the administration also includes asking the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to reconsider this week's ruling that allows the deployment of the National Guard to Portland. Plus,
we're in the most perilous moment, the biggest threat to our republic since the Civil War.
Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley continues his marathon speech on the Senate floor this afternoon. It's a protest against President Trump and what the senator says are the president's, quote, grave threats to democracy. Also at noon.
The consumer has a 10-day window to void the contract if the terms are not the same as the ones that they agreed to.
New legislation aims to make auto loans in Oregon more transparent. A closer look at the new law that could help protect you from hidden fees and surprise costs when you go to buy a car. And later tonight, Blazers basketball is back. We're going to preview the team's season opener at the Moda Center. KGW News at noon starts right now. And we start here at noon with this live look from the Senate floor where Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley has been talking since 3:30 yesterday afternoon. You heard that right. We're talking about a marathon speech that's closing in on 21 hours. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Drew Carney. Senator Merkley says the speech is a form of protest against President Trump's, quote, grave threats to democracy, including threats of deploying the National Guard to U.S. cities like Portland.
Never should a government seek to deploy the military against peaceful protesters, to try to create a riot, to try to justify an expansion of authoritarian power. Never should that happen.
Senator Merkley's staff says he wants to keep going with the speech as long as he can, but the effort is also drawing criticism from Senate Republicans. They point out that the senator forced staff and Capitol Police to work overnight while not getting paid because of the government shutdown. Meanwhile, President Trump directly addressed this week's ruling by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, a ruling that essentially cleared the way for the president to deploy the National Guard to Portland.
I looked at Portland over the weekend. The place is burning down, just burning down. We weren't there. We didn't spend much time there because we were waiting for that decision. But the court, maybe that influenced the court. But you look at a place.
The president reaffirming his stance that Portland is, quote, burning down, specifically referencing this past weekend. But here's what we actually covered this past weekend. Roughly 40,000 people attending the No Kings protest downtown. A couple hundred people blocking the road outside the city's ICE facility. And in the end, Portland police reporting that they detained 3 people during all of those events. While the Ninth Circuit Court ruled against one of the temporary restraining orders that's been blocking National Guard deployment to Portland, there is still a second such order in place. That second order blocks all federalized National Guard members from deploying here, not just the members who are based in Oregon. Today is the deadline for both sides of this debate to refile arguments on whether or not that case against the second order should be heard again. Mayor Wilson reiterated on Tuesday that Portland does not need the National Guard.
We're not war-ravaged. As we wrangle this through the courts, let's recognize where we've come from. Every time we've sued, we've won. We're now having to pivot, and we will continue to win through the courts.
As this all plays out, there are roughly 200 Oregon National Guard members who are still at Camp Rylea on the Oregon coast waiting for their next orders. There are also members of the California National Guard standing by in Happy Valley. Our next story is about an apparent case of mistaken identity after ICE agents detained a local man while looking for another man with the same name. The family of Victor Cruz from Hillsborough says even though he's lived here in Oregon legally for 18 years, ICE still took him into custody. Here's KGW's Alma McCarty.
We had this kind of fake safety, like we felt safe, but I guess like that doesn't matter anymore.
A sense of security ripped away from a Hillsborough family after Victor Cruz, husband and grandfather, was taken into ICE custody 1 week ago. I sat down with his wife, Maria, and daughter at Ziri Tuesday.
Pues se siente frustración, dolor, porque nosotros queremos mucho esta comunidad.
She says she feels very hurt. She feels very betrayed. let down by the community, let down by our legislators, our administration. We feel very like we have to live in fear now.
Victor was pulled over on this street, just minutes from his home, by an unmarked car. Family says agents told him they were looking for a Victor Cruz with a specific criminal background. But family says that was a different man, and their Victor has no criminal history.
So he couldn't walk properly. He got out willingly out of his truck and presented his papers, his work permit, his driver's license, and the ICE agents said, your work permit, it doesn't matter. So they just tossed it to the side, and they cuffed him and just put him in the back of the car and took him away. It was like a kidnapping.
Within hours, he was in ICE detention in Tacoma, as confirmed to them by the Mexican consulate. 2 days later, he called his family.
He was very shaken. He does have a pacemaker, so that worries us for his heart condition.
Victor told them he trusted that agents wouldn't take him because not only did he have his papers, he wasn't the man they were looking for.
He told us that he's in a room with about 80 people, just bunk beds on bunk beds. He gets 3 meals a day, but the rations are very small and he goes hungry. And it's very loud. He says that people are just talking, screaming, and just like 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, so it's impossible to sleep.
Maria and Atziri sharing his story in hopes he'll soon be freed, heartbroken over the treatment of a man treasured by many in this community.
Cuando el abuso de poder y el abuso hacia otras personas vulnerables.
She was saying that she's always hated injustice and bullies, and injustices towards people who are vulnerable, and she never thought that she would be in this situation.
Again, that was Alma McCarty reporting for us this afternoon. We also reached out to DHS and to ICE and are still waiting to hear back. With that, we take a quick break from our news headlines to check in with Rod Hill there in the Weather Center. Rod, what do you have for us?
Now, do you remember, Drew, this morning on Sunrise, we said there was a weak system coming in this afternoon and we might see some raindrops. Do you remember?
I write down everything you say during that Sunrise show.
Really?
So surely I remember that, yeah.
That warms my heart. All right. Here's the visible satellite picture. I'm focused on this thicker layer of cloudiness right here that's already marched inland. I will tell you, so number one, all these clouds are coming our way. So it looks like we're going to be losing the sun that we have had here in downtown Portland shortly. Astoria is reporting, in fact, some light rain in the past hour. Radar right now is showing that little bit of rain moving east of Astoria. And there's a little bit showing up on some of the hills just west of town. Live cameras for you. Can't see Tillamook Head at all. This is some light rain passing through Astoria, and this is a camera at Gerhardt by the Sea Resort looking back down south towards Seaside. So that's pretty socked in. Providence Park camera, this had been showing some, but now it's looking up over the West Hills and seeing the clouds starting to come in. Otherwise, it's pretty nice outside. We're 57 degrees, calm winds out the airport, but the flags in downtown Portland are starting to move around a little bit. So in the coming hours, again, some of us may just literally see a trace of rain or 0.01 of an inch, and then that will be moving on. I still think if you're outdoors all afternoon, overwhelmingly, most of the time, it's just going to be dry. 63 the high, 58 a dry evening expected. Drew, we will get back into our Friday, Saturday rainstorm and give you the update coming up shortly.
All right, we appreciate that, Rod. We also have a health alert to get to this afternoon. 2 months after a deadly measles outbreak in Texas was declared over, the highly contagious disease continues to spread across the country. For more on that, here's NBC's Erica Edwards.
I'm standing on the border of Arizona and Utah. Truly, this is Arizona. Across the street is Utah. We have 2 twin towns that collectively make up a community called Short Creek. And now it is the site of the second largest measles outbreak in the U.S. this year. 123 cases so far, mostly in unvaccinated school-aged kids. Health officials here say that they've been bracing for something like this to happen for years because of falling vaccination rates. Here in Mojave County, Arizona, the vaccination rate is at 78%. Across the street in Washington County, Utah, it's at 79%. And now there is evidence that this outbreak is actually spreading into other parts of Utah, also with low vaccination rates. As of Tuesday, the CDC had reported more than 1,600 measles cases in 42 states. Reporting from 2 of those states, Arizona and Utah, I'm Erica Edwards, NBC News.
Right now, we want to take a look at some of this afternoon's national headlines, and we start with a standoff that's taking center stage in New York City. The union representing Broadway musicians says it plans to go on strike as early as tomorrow if an agreement on a new contract isn't reached at some point today. The musicians' demands include better wages, more health care, and job security. The last major strike on Broadway happened in 2007 when stagehands walked off the job. Legendary chess player Daniel Naroditsky has died. The 29-year-old was a chess grandmaster, the highest title awarded by the International Chess Federation to the world's top players. His family did not release how he died. Federal investigators are now looking into Waymo, a tech company which operates driverless taxis, after one of the company's vehicles was recorded illegally driving around a stopped school bus in Atlanta. In response, Waymo said it made software updates to their vehicles to prevent that sort of incident from happening again. And a woman is crediting artificial intelligence for her big win. 45-year-old Tammy Carvey of Michigan says she asked ChatGPT to pick her Powerball numbers and ended up winning $100,000. She matched 4 numbers and the Powerball. She says she plans to use the money to pay off her mortgage. And that's a look at some of this afternoon's national headlines.